All right. Hello, everybody. I am Darcy Grimes, and I am the current digital lead teacher at Hall Fletcher Elementary School in Asheville City School District. I'm excited that so many of you are watching today. This is my first time doing a Google Hangout with no one actually in the room. So if you have any questions, feel free to kind of just type it on the message, and I'll try to go back and forth. I am here today to talk about Mystery Skype, which I am so excited about because all of my students have really taken Mystery Skypes and ran with it. So I'm going to switch over at this time to my slides, and I'll do a screen share with you. Let me try that one more time. All right, you should see my sway. Mystery Skype, learn how to play Mystery Skype with classrooms around the world. So I'm going to scroll down, and what is a Mystery Skype? I'm guessing some of you, if you're listening to this, you've kind of heard the buzz of Mystery Skype, or you've seen it on Twitter, or heard some of your other fellow teachers talking about it. But what is it exactly? So if you think about 20 questions when we were little, how to play 20 questions. I know me and my sister would always play, and we'd think of an animal and have to ask each other yes or no questions in order to figure out what that animal is. So Mystery Skype is same thing, except for you're asking yes or no questions to figure out your partner's class's location. So if I was trying to figure out your state, I might say, do you live east of the Mississippi River? And then the other class would respond with a yes or a no. So that's kind of how a Mystery Skype works. There's a lot of collaboration within the classrooms and within both the partner class and your class. And it's amazing the critical thinking that goes on amongst the students.
Adriana and Laquita Smith to car riders, please. Adriana and Laquita Smith to car riders, please.
And we are all teachers, and so that was my intercom. I apologize about that. So what do you need to get started? Mystery Skype sounds awesome. You want your class to start learning more about geography skills, but what do you need exactly to get started? And so the first thing is a Skype account.
Brody, please report to the Spanish room. Brody, please report to the Spanish room.
I apologize about that. But the first thing that you need is a Skype account. And you can get a Skype account by going to skype.com. They are free. So you'll need a Skype account. You'll obviously need a webcam, and this could be an external webcam, or it could be a webcam that is connected to your computer or an iPad. I've had a class that did a Mystery Skype before with just the actual webcam on the teacher's phone because nothing else was working at the time. So you need a webcam, a Skype account. You'll have to have maps, most likely for the very beginning, actually having a paper map works well. Having computers allows your students to look into Google Maps or Google Earth to find out more information. Of course, you'll need your students, and you will need a partner class. So not too much from the very basics of what you would need for a Mystery Skype. You can always use the bells and whistles and have your smartboard or Promethean on, or a projector so the whole class can see your partner class that you're Mystery Skyping with. But don't feel like you have to have everything in the beginning. You can get started with simply just a webcam, a Skype account, and some students. So I'm going to scroll down, and I want to share with you some tips for doing your first Mystery Skype. And I will tell you, I have probably made every mistake in the book while Skyping before. So if I can do it and my students can do it, then you guys can totally do it too. So the first tip that I would always start with any Skype call is to have a practice call first. If I made a connection with my partner class, we decided that we were going to do a Mystery Skype call. Before we actually did the call with students, I would make sure, just with 2 teachers in their own classrooms, to do a practice call first. Because technology, doesn't always happen and doesn't always work well the first time. So you'd rather make sure you have a practice call set up beforehand and before you're standing in front of 25 to 30 students who are so eager to do their first Mystery Skype. The second tip I would share with you is to make sure when you get a Skype account, to make sure your Skype location is set for mystery location. It'll probably say Mystery City and Mystery State. And it might say also Mystery Country. A lot of times when you set up your Skype account, it asks you for the city that you live in and the state that you live in. Well, if you're doing a mystery Skype, that kind of gives it away. And the students are always trying to use their detective skills to figure out where they're located. So just double checking ahead of time.
Dismissal call 2. Dismissal call 2. Second load bus riders, please proceed to the bus ramp.
That should be the last announcement, I'm sorry. Making sure it shows mystery location. The third tip I would have for you is to make sure every student actually has a paper map in front of them. It might seem overkill, but if each student has something to work on and has a map in front of them that they can X out states and circle states that they think it might be, that'll give every student in your class a job and something to do during the Mystery Skype. And it kind of helps the ones that are wiggly and are having trouble sitting still for that amount of time. If they actually have something in front of them, it just makes the Mystery Skype go a lot smoother. And the fourth tip I would have is just making sure you're reviewing your expectations with your students, not just about how you expect them to be in class, but also in front of the Skype call. A lot of students get nervous when they know that they're going to be Skyping another class. They might get a little jittery. They might get overly talkative when they know that they're going to Skype some new friends. And making sure that you talk with them, even if they're in 7th, 8th grade, about how you can wave at the very beginning of a call, but then they need to put their hands down and focus on the Mystery Skype. I know there's some students, and of course we don't have any students in our class who would prefer to check their hair during it because they can see the little picture at the bottom of their screen. So it's just really important to make sure that you're reviewing those expectations before your call. All right, so it's a good idea also for a Mystery Skype to give all of the students in your class certain jobs. Now, if you are just starting out and you have never done a Mystery Skype before, I would definitely start with the basic student jobs. The basic student jobs being the first as a greeter. You might want to have 2 students who their job is solely to be the greeter. They come up to the webcam at the very beginning of the Skype call. They greet the other class. They might say, "Hi, my name is Darcy. We are a 4th grade class somewhere in the world," making sure they don't tell the location. I have had a Mystery Skype before where the very first student who went up said, "Hi, my name is blank. We are a 4th grade class in Asheville, North Carolina." And at that point, we kind of had to be on our toes and change it up a little bit because the state had already been given away. So making sure your greeter can greet the other class, but not give away that information. Another pretty basic job would be a student to be the rock, paper, scissorer, the person who comes up at the very beginning of a Skype call and says, "Let's play rock, paper, scissors" to see who goes first. And that student will literally play rock, paper, scissors with one student from the other class. This gives that student a role, that gives the student a job to come up in front of the webcam, and it's fun. And the kids really enjoy being able to play rock, paper, scissors to see what class comes first over Skype. Another basic student job would be the questioner. I've done Mystery Skypes 2 ways. I've had the webcam facing the entire class, and so everybody in the class can be seen at all times. But I've also had the Mystery Skype webcam set up so it's only facing the questioner or the 2 questioners. So maybe the webcam is only facing 2 students, and the rest of the students in the classroom are working at their desks. This helps cut down on the stress a little bit of the teacher, making sure everyone is on their best behavior. It allows the questioner to feel like they have more of a leadership role, and that will be the person who will be asking those yes or no questions to the other class. She might be talking with the rest of her class and then come over to the webcam and say, "Does your state border another country?" And at that point, the other class would discuss and then would have someone answer back. Which leads me to my 4th basic student role, which is the answerer. And this would be somebody just as simple as that would stand up in front of the webcam and would say yes or would say no. You could also have some signs made. I know my students love making the yes or no signs, where it's actually just a piece of paper that says yes, and the answer would hold up the yes sign if the answer is yes, and then a no sign if the answer is no. And I had some creative students who came up with additional signs of still thinking that they could hold up in front of the web camera while the class was still kind of trying to come up with another question. So if this is your first time doing Mystery Skype, I would start with just those 4 basic jobs. It gives you a good starting point, and it gives the students roles in order for them to, just really start that Mystery Skype for the first time. Now, if your students are anything like mine, they're going to get hooked on the Mystery Skype. They're going to want to do more and more, and before you know it, you'll be planning them every single week. And what's better than having students so excited about geography skills? So if your class is like that, you might want to have some more advanced student jobs. In addition to the basic student jobs that we talked about before, is the greeter and the rock, paper, scissors, and the questioner. You might want to have a student who is simply just the note taker. And this is someone who might have a clipboard and walk around the room and be able to take notes while you're doing the Mystery Skype. This was a big aha moment for my students when we introduced the note taker job. At first, people were kind of confused about why they would want to be the note taker. But once we had someone as the note taker, it let us kind of step back from the Mystery Skype afterwards and reflect on it. Because the note taker might be taking notes such as, we asked a question twice. Maybe one student in the class said, does your state border the Pacific Ocean? And then 10 minutes later, someone said, does your state border the Pacific Ocean? And that's something that the students and yourself might not notice in the heat of the Mystery Skype. But the note taker would notice that and would be able to take notes on that. So kind of just giving some constructive feedback and constructive criticism as a class as a whole. My note taker last year would also always mark down when our class was getting too loud. And so it kind of helped even more for the students to hear it from their peers of how their peers, the note taker, saw our class doing the Mystery Skype, other than myself just telling them to make sure that they're whispering because the other class can hear. I've already discussed answer, and so the next possible job that you might want to have in your class would be the runner. And no, this is not somebody who runs around the room the whole time that you're doing a Mystery Skype. But instead, this would be someone who might go back and forth between the greeter and the answerer who are in front of the webcam, and then the other students around the class. Because there's a lot of communication that goes on during the class, and you don't want the students to be yelling to each other because the other class will be able to hear. So the runner has to be someone in your class who communicates really well, is also fast, but not in a running type way, but just moves with a sense of urgency and communicates well between groups. Now, once your students become advanced and have done several Mystery Skypes, you're probably going to want to introduce either a Chromebook or a laptop or an iPad to the mix so you can have a couple students who get on Google Maps. Now, this is not something I would do at the very beginning because the computer and just having the device there can sometimes take away from the focus of a Mystery Skype. But for classrooms and teachers and students who have done several Mystery Skypes, introducing Google Maps into the mix is a wonderful, amazing tool. You can only get as close as you can to a state by looking at an atlas or a paper map, but in Google Maps, you can really dive in. So the first couple times you play Mystery Skype, you might want to just talk with the other teacher about having the Mystery Skype be to the state or to the country. But once your kids start playing a lot of Mystery Skypes, they're going to want to go deeper, and they're going to want to get to the city or to the county. You might be a 4th grade social studies teacher, and you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but we don't do states, we do North Carolina geography. Well, you can absolutely play Mystery Skype among other teachers in North Carolina, and you can just do it to the county or do it to the city or town. And that's where Google Maps becomes really important. We were playing a fifth grade class in, oh, I can't remember now, in another state, where they started asking questions such as, like, are you north of I-40 and are you south of this road? And I remember when the students first asked our class that question, all of the kids in my class kind of turned to me with their eyes really big, and they were like, we don't even know where I-40 is. And so that's where Google Maps can come into. Having some students who are tech savvy or who want to increase their tech savviness be on the Google Map, because they can find I-40 and they can zoom in even farther. Like I said, I wouldn't start with that, but that would be a good addition once you have done several Mystery Skypes with your class. And then I mentioned Atlas Mapper. Reporter would be another one that could report back to, kind of like the runner, but they would report back to just the greeter instead of going amongst other groups. And then one of my favorite jobs amongst my students is the tweeter. And this is someone who is either writing down on a piece of paper or they're typing it into a document the tweets that they want to tweet out during the lesson. Now, if you have older students who are 13 and above and could tweet from your class Twitter, then of course they could live tweet. Or if you have a teacher assistant or a student teacher who could sit with that student who is the tweeter, then you can actually live tweet during the Mystery Skype. But for my fourth graders last year, I wanted to make sure we were falling in amongst, since they were 13 and under, I wanted to make sure we were following into that policy. And so I actually had them typing the tweets that they wanted to tweet out afterwards. And they would share that document with me after the Mystery Skype, and then I would tweet out those tweets directly from them and having their initials at the end. And that was one of the favorite jobs that my students had. And those are just a couple of the jobs that I've used in the past. Of course, there are many, many, many other ones. And I know your kids will be very creative and they can come up with their own. There's some classes who every single student has a different job. I wouldn't start with that, but that's definitely a goal that your students could have. Okay, so what skills are being learned? Now, if you're on this Skype call or if you're on this Google Hangout learning about Mystery Skype, then of course you probably have already been hooked and you want to use this in your classroom and you realize the value in it. But you are going to probably have some people saying, okay, well, what skill is being learned while your students are participating in that Mystery Skype? So the first one, of course, would be communication. Not only communication within the students in your classroom, but also they will be communicating with students in another class across the country over Skype. And as you'll know, it's a different communication skill when you're using Skype or Google Hangouts than if you were talking to someone in person. The amount of questioning skills that the students use during a Mystery Skype is amazing. They have to have that critical thinking. My students have learned vocabulary words with their critical thinking. I know many of my students did not know what landlocked meant until we played a Mystery Skype. And there was a class that asked us if we were landlocked. And so then we stopped the Mystery Skype and we had a discussion about what landlocked meant. And then the students went back, were looking at their maps, and they realized, well, no, of course North Carolina is not landlocked. And so just pulling in that vocabulary, the critical thinking of realizing if your state is east of the Mississippi River, then it might not be a state that is on the west side. And that takes something that, the students begin to start thinking about all of that, and they are really motivated because they want to kind of win, and I put that in quotes, they kind of want to win and guess the other location of the class before the other class guesses theirs. So they're motivated, they want to learn, and that critical thinking is definitely there. And if you have never played Mystery Skype yourself, I suggest that you kind of try to play with the students a couple times, because you're going to realize the inferencing skills that the students have to have in order to figure out the state or the city or the county is amazing. They have a better global understanding, and it's very easy to tie this into your social studies curriculum. If you're doing fifth grade, I know our fifth grade has done a lot of Mystery Skypes this year, and feel free to contact me if you want to try out a Mystery Skype. It falls right into their social studies curriculum. Our fourth grade does it with teachers across North Carolina, so it falls into that curriculum. I have a 6th grade class that was learning about Greece, and so what we ended up doing was setting up a Mystery Skype at the beginning of their unit. And they actually did a Mystery Skype with a class in Greece, and then they realized they were going to learn more about ancient Greece. And so it really helped their global understanding of, if their topic was ancient Greece, it wasn't just some place that they're learning about on the computer or in a book. They had actually met students who live in the current Greece. And so it strengthens that global understanding. Empathy and geography, absolutely. Those are two very strong skills that the students are learning just by playing a game. And that's what the students think of it as, is just playing a game. They want to play Mystery Skype. And that's what really makes it authentic. And that's what they remember, and that's the motivation for learning. So some of you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great. I want to get started. I have a webcam. I have students. How do I find a partner class? And so I have taken a screenshot here to show you, because I wasn't sure how well my tabs would be going back and forth. However, if you go to, actually I'm going to click back and forth just to double check, education.microsoft.com, and you can see it on the screen here. You go to educators, connect with others, and then play Mystery Skype. I'm going to click on that here. You will see what I was showing on the screen earlier. So you will see kind of the landing point for Mystery Skype. This is where you go to find other classes. It doesn't matter what grade you are. It doesn't matter what your focus is. You're going to be able to find classes all around the world who want to play too. And so you would register to take part, which is right here in the middle of your screen, in order to get started on Mystery Skype. So if you look at the 3 squares in the middle of the screen, the first says find a classroom to play with. This is where you would go to find that class. Maybe you're learning about Kansas and you want to specifically find a 3rd grade class in Kansas. When you click on find a classroom, you can actually sort it out by location and age group and language. If you're looking, there's one right here for Hungary. So if you're looking for a different country, you can actually search it by language too. So you are absolutely going to be able to find other classes to play with. Once you find a class, you might think, okay, I've got everything, I'm prepared, we've done a test run. Now, how do I really get my class prepared to do this Mystery Skype? And so this square right here in the middle is, if it's free, it's a one notebook for you to use in order to get ready for Mystery Skype. There are tips in there from other Skype master teachers. There's the roles that I discussed earlier. There's different roles in there. There's maps that other teachers have used. This is really a huge resource for you to use in order to get started. And feel free to share it with the other teachers at your school or your friends. This is a great resource for you. I know that you can go to Google and you can start searching Mystery Skype, but this is an easy way to find all the resources that you will need as a teacher, and it's created by teachers. And the third box over here is See Mystery Skype in Action. And this has a video of my friend Scott, who is a teacher in California, and it just kind of takes you through their Mystery Skype with them Skyping another class. And it's amazing to see the smiles on their faces, the excitement when they ask a question and the students say, yes, our state is landlocked. And you can see them going back to their maps and their critical thinking and the communication that comes in. So this is a great video to watch yourselves and also to show your colleagues. If you take away from this Google Hangout that you want to do it and you want to share with others, this is a great video for you to watch to allow other people to easily, very quickly get hooked, because the energy in the room is absolutely amazing. And I know that just watching those kids, it puts a smile on my face, and you'll imagine those students in your class too. So I'm going to go back over to my Sway and scroll down. And I talked about on Microsoft Education site where you can directly find other classrooms to play with. But if another resource, and if you use Twitter a lot, use Twitter as your resource to find those classes. Use that to strengthen your PLN. There is a hashtag Mystery Skype, that I use all the time when I'm trying to find classes to Skype with. And very quickly and very easily, I can usually find a class that I'm looking for using this hashtag. You can just search for it on Twitter, and you'll see other teachers who are looking for other partner classes to Mystery Skype. You will also see other people who are retweeting it to get it out into their PLN too. And that made me think of something I should have had up earlier as your tips. When you are doing a Mystery Skype, a huge tip is to make sure you check time zones. And I can't believe I didn't put that up there at the beginning because I've made this mistake before. We've all made this mistake before. If you're doing a lot of Skype calls or Google Hangouts, make sure the class that you find, you can find a time that works with both of your time zones. I know that we had said earlier in the year that we were going to do a Mystery Skype at 1 o'clock Eastern, and then Eastern kind of got left off of the email. And so our friends in Nevada didn't understand that it was Eastern, and we both tried to call each other at the wrong time. So it's a mistake and it happens, and it's a real life lesson for the students who were in the classroom at the time, but just make sure that those time zones you get worked out ahead of time. And one of the great things about the Skype in the Classroom website, which is right up here, the Skype in the Classroom website has gotten a huge overlook, but it's also gotten an update. And so on the Mystery Skype Classroom website, it will actually change your time zones for you, which is a huge, huge plus. I know before I was always walking around with the app on my phone in order to change the time zones, and now this website does it. And so if you're using it through the website, it'll make it very easy. If you're finding a partner class using the hashtag Mystery Skype, just make sure that you're checking those time zones. And then I had on here to Let's Play Mystery Skype. However, I see with no one in the room, with only people viewing, that will be hard to play Mystery Skype. And so what I will actually do, I'm going to go back and stop screenshotting so you can see me again. I'll turn on my webcam. There we go. So what I will actually do, instead of doing a practice Skype call, I'll just give you kind of some examples of questions that students ask when they're doing a Mystery Skype. And for your first one, you can always put this up on chart paper, up on the board, because your students will get a little bit nervous when they start doing it for the first time. Or you can have it on the back side of your map or at the bottom of your map. And so some of the questions that you usually start off with, I've kind of mentioned before, does your state border the Atlantic Ocean? Does your state border the Pacific Ocean? Is your state landlocked? That's a really popular question. Does your state border a country? And so usually students kind of go through the whole bordering first. And with third graders and fourth graders, you learn what bordering means, so pulling that vocabulary into. And then you'd also have a big question that helps you kind of eliminate different places is, do you live east of the Mississippi River? Do you live west of the Mississippi River? And then you kind of have to start getting in and getting creative. I've had a couple of classes before who have asked, does your state start with the first letter, or is it the first letter of your state through A through M? And so then the kids are having to think, okay, well, North Carolina, M, and no. I have kind of asked my students not to necessarily ask that question because I wanted them to really dive in with geography skills. But that is one that is asked a lot when you are Skyping and doing Mystery Skypes with other classes. And I know your students will be really creative and will come up with their own questions too. They might even start asking questions like, is Seattle in your state? And I always try to have my students, when they've narrowed it down and they are 99% sure that they might think it's Washington State, I always make them ask one more question before they say, is your state Washington? And so that's where the capitals or a city, a main city in that town or in that state might come up. And so just making sure that they're not just guessing, do you live in Tennessee? Do you live in North Dakota? Making sure they're using that critical thinking to narrow it down. All right, well, It is about 3:32, and I'm sure you guys have had an amazing digital learning day. I know my students had a great digital learning day, and we're tired at the end of the day. So if any of you have been inspired and you want to do a Mystery Skype, please feel free to send me a message. You can find me on Twitter. I have it at the bottom of the screen, and I would love to find a class that would Skype with you. I work with pre-K all the way through 6th grade, so I know I can find a class in that range, and if you're older, I can work on a class for that too. So if you have any questions or you want my sway, I can actually put the sway in the message below so you can have that. But I'm really excited that you guys have joined in and you're interested in playing Mystery Skype. I know your kids will thank you for it, because they absolutely love it and it brings so much energy to the room. So thank you again, and I hope you have the great rest of the week, and I look forward to hearing from many of you. Thank you.